talking about the about foreign institutions and how there is still an attempt, regardless of Rahul Gandhi trying to get interference from them or not. There does seem a constant interference from foreign institutions in Indian politics. For instance, the BBC documentary on Narendra Modi. Now, in light of that, recently the BBC has gone on to suspend its star presenter, Gary Lineker, from presenting the flagship football program Match of the Day until an agreement is reached on his social media use. So they're trying to regulate the social media use, the political views and opinions of one of their star presenters. Can you lend some context to this and the so-called neutrality or impartiality of this news organization, that is the BBC?
Well, I first let me start with this by saying that I do not believe that the BBC's documentary against on Gujarat riots was meant against Narendra Modi. I believe that it was actually a hit job against their Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. Uh, it is my belief that an establishment within, or you may call it the deep state, within the UK foreign establishment, or within the UK establishment, administrative, the deep state, as in the intelligence, the bureaucracy, and the other agencies. They are uncomfortable with the fact that a Hindu prime minister is at the helm of Britain. So, a 20-year-old documentary was dug out, a documentary which no one knew existed. Think about the timing. Why would only now this documentary have been was dug out? This documentary has been there with the BBC apparently for the last 20 years. Why was it dug up now? If you tell me that the reason was that they wanted the BJP government to fall in trouble, why now? Why not in 2024? It would have created more noise then. Why 1 year before the general elections? And right now there is no major election happening. So what has happened is that this the deep state within the UK, they uncomfortable with the fact that Rishi Sunak has become the first Hindu prime minister of Britain. They want to make Rishi's stay at the 10 Downing Street uncomfortable, which is why this 20-year-old so-called documentary was dug out. And this entire BBC reportage that you have seen was based on that one so-called uh, investigative report, which was done by the UK embassy in India. And I was stunned to see that such a report was carried out because, for one, you are carrying out a secret investigation in a country where you are installed as an embassy, which is you can't do that. And second, the kind of conclusions which was there based on what Jack Straw said, we know what kind of a liar Jack Straw is and what they were trying to achieve. That one was dug out. Obviously, they were targeting Sunak, and Sunak was inevitably, once that uh, documentary came to light, Sunak faced uncomfortable questions in the parliament. As a fallout of that, it created a lot of furor in India. Now, let's come back to your question about Gary Lineker. First, we have to understand that Western media is no beacon of fairness. We have to get this out of the. We have to completely unlearn this concept. It is a little difficult for us because even though we have become independent, our existence as a nation which was once colonized cannot be so easily rubbed away. It is part of our existence. The fact that we are colonized, the fact that we are still speaking in English, we are conversing in English right now, a language which was imposed on us by the colonized, right? Nobody is forcing us to do that, but we are still doing it. So it is not always easy to erase one's past or to erase one's, the journey which you have done as a nation. And in that journey, you have once been colonized. You have taken bits of that journey with you. It is not easy to leave that baggage off. One of the things which we Indians inadvertently still suffer from is that whenever we see New York Times, Washington Post, The Economist, anyone come out with a report, we immediately believe that to be uh, an indictment of whatever has happened in Indian society. Why does that happen? For instance, let me give you a counter analogy. Let's say an Indian publication write a report which is write a report against Joe Biden. Maybe that report is a very scathing one. Maybe it takes Joe Biden to the cleaners. You will find that the Biden administration will not even take any cognizance of the report, and the larger American audience will, first of all, will not know about it, and even if they do, they'll laugh it off. But the converse is not true. Whenever an Western media writes something against India, Indians, or Indian political parties, if that report comes out, then one set of audience either jubilates, oh, BBC has come out with this report, and they have crucified Modi, and the other side becomes outraged, right? Why does that happen? It happens because inherently, intrinsically, we still place a lot of importance on what the Westerners say about us. So we see the world through their gaze. We adopt their gaze and see the world through that lens, right? You have to get out of that. You have to absolutely get out of that gaze. Whatever they say, whatever the Western media says, whatever the Western media comes out with, they have an agenda. And the agenda is very simple. They have an ideological, a geopolitical agenda. The Western media is part of the Western liberal project. It is a vehicle through which certain ideologies are spread. It is still done. The the thing about this thing called values, uh, the Western world thinks that the world should be cast in their value system. Whatever their value system is the only value system that matters, and that value system should be the default operating system of the entire world. That is their belief. And media is just an arm, just a vehicle, just a tool for propagating that belief, right? So if you see things from this angle, you will find out that whatever the Western media says, whatever they write, they carry a certain ideology forward. That is number one. Number two, in most cases, and not talking about BBC alone, but countless other reports which appear in NYT and Washington Post from time to time, you will find that they are most often than not ill informed, because they, to cover such a vast country, a country as huge as India, they will probably have one journalist sitting in New Delhi. I mean, India is so vast. It is a continent-sized country. So many ethnicities, so many languages, so many cultures. It is probably the most complex nation that one can think of, right? You should be having an army of journalists to even try to understand this country. You have one journalist sitting in New Delhi writing long pieces, damning indictments about this. So that tells you about the seriousness of what they bring to the table. No data, just opinion and nothing else.
And sometimes
Now let's
it's
come to
not
the
even, one journalist just dedicated to India. Sometimes it will just be, say, a South Asian correspondent.
Yeah,
So,
true, true. It's true. It's a joke. Now let's come to the Lineker episode. So what has happened with Lineker is that uh, the the um, the British government has come out with a migrant policy, and that migrant policy has not gone down well with the liberals or the leftists in Britain. So Lineker is one of the liberals who during during a, I think, match of the day show, aired his views, and he compared Britain's migrant policy with that of Nazi Germany. Now, Lineker was once asked by the BBC not to air his political views while hosting a game show. And so this is the second time he has done that. And the BBC feels, and a section of the BBC is extremely angry that Lineker has compared Britain's policy with Nazi Germany. So I find it very ironic that the BBC, which likes to preach to the entire world, which likes to preach tolerance and everything to the entire world, when one commentator has said something against the country's policy, it immediately has seen red and has thrown that person away. But uh, there are a lot of other issues tangled here as well. The other one is the fight between, obviously, the leftists and the conservatives in UK, and also the fact that the BBC is right now facing a lot of flack from the liberals. Many other commentators have, in solidarity with Lineker, have decided not to appear for the BBC show anymore. The BBC is in a spot of bother. Well, how has it reacted so far? Instead of taking a tolerant view of what Lineker has said, it has simply asked Lineker to quit, and it has fiercely defended its own policy. Basically, all the things that it preaches to the rest of the world, it has gone against it while handling that problem at his own home. So I think it's typical of what these organizations do. Um the BBC is, as I started by saying, that uh, there is no reason for us to think that the BBC is an organization which is given to fair reporting. That is a myth. That doesn't happen. So it is in line with its own agenda, whatever agenda it has to peddle. It peddles in India, and once you turn the light inwards, once the spotlight is turned against them, then all their duplicities and hypocrisies come to the fore. This is just the latest example.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.